Good morning. It's Sunday, August 28th, and on Friday we had a historic event, almost as historic as when the first automobiles ended up on our roads, way back, I think, in 1913. California has taken a huge step forward. The California air regulators voted on Thursday to ban new gas car sales by 2035. This is a measure to phase gasoline cars out of the state. This is a historic event for the United States, given that this is a country that loves their cars. I can't imagine people not loving their cars the way we do in this country. That was the biggest rite of passage, was to get your driver's license and then be allowed to drive the family car. And eventually you got your own car. And those were a big deal. That was a big deal when I was a teenager, boy. If you got a license to drive and you had a car that you could use, that was a tremendous step forward in your life. But this major move that California has made has huge implications for the U.S. car market. California has to be the leading car owner's paradise in the United States. And they have the largest population, and they have a huge state with many miles of roads. So anything that California does with respect to motor vehicles will have a huge impact on the industry. So they have taken a gigantic step by planning to ban gas cars in 2035, or before, if possible. Now, when you look at this move, it should not surprise you, because California has been a leading state in the fight against air pollution. And rightly so, because they are a huge state with many automobiles. California is not trying to do everything in one fell swoop. So starting in 2026, 35% of the new cars, the SUVs, the small pickups sold in California would be required to be zero-emission vehicles. And the quota will go up each year. Now, I don't know what will happen if you go out of state to buy a car. I don't know how California plans to do that, because that could be a big problem. People would say, well, I'm not ready for a zero-emission vehicle, so maybe I'll buy it from Oregon or Washington or something and bring it into the state of California. I haven't seen anything about controlling it and checking cars and things like that. But the quota, the number 35%, will increase each year. And the new rules would not impact used vehicles, allowing them to stay on the road. So maybe that's the way to get around it. You know, you buy a used vehicle from somebody outside the state or something, and you can avoid the emission stance. But I think that's pretty stupid. I think it's pretty stupid to go against these standards. If you want to buy a used vehicle, buy one that has some kind of emissions control. I mean, this is a rule that is attempting to save people's lives. But we know that people are in love with their cars and they like certain things and they don't necessarily consider the lives of everybody else important. The California Air Resources Board claimed that this is the most important thing that they have done in the last 30 years. And it's important not just for California, but for the entire country and the world. They are trying to set an example, and there is hope for the future because multiple states are expected to follow suit. Already 15 states, including Colorado and Minnesota, as well as states on the northeast and the west coasts, followed California's previous zero-emission policies. So it's not unusual to think that those same states are going to step up and follow California's example. In fact, New York And Rhode Island confirmed that they plan to adopt California's rule with their own rulemaking process. And New Jersey and Maryland are thinking seriously about it also. So the California decision is a leading decision, and there are lots of states apparently that are lined up and ready to partake in this wonderful step. And I'm hoping that New York does it in a hurry. And if the U.S. car manufacturers, because these states represent a big part of the U.S. market, and if the federal government doesn't move in a regulatory hurry, a big chunk of the country will just have moved ahead without them. And that will punch a big hole in the auto industry. So you have to keep an eye on this, because really, in my mind, this should have been a federal mandate. But we know that we have to behave because the states have states' rights and they want to do their own. So I'm sure the regulations in each and every state will not be exactly the same. But they'll be there. They will be based upon my looking at least 15 or 20 states that are going to have some regulation. And the auto industry has got to take a big notice of that, because these are populous states. They're the largest states. These are the largest states. California, New York. I haven't heard anything from Texas or Florida, but they are in their own little world. The good thing about this is that the car companies, our car manufacturers, GM and Ford and others, have not raised any issues against the California ruling, and are looking at the states that are following California. So the car industry is getting prepared. They are preparing to do what they're supposed to. And they better do that, because in Europe and China, they're getting out ahead of us. They are producing electric vehicles already in large quantity. So if the U.S. manufacturers want to keep up with the rest of the world, they better start now. And this California ruling should spur them on, because when they see all these states lining up, they better have their cars ready to go. They can't diddle around. And of course, the federal government is not doing anything. They haven't come out one way or the other. And they should get in line too. And they should make a statement saying they back what these states are doing. One major player in this game has been the oil industry, and they haven't said anything yet. But if you look at the way oil is produced, if this is going to happen around the country, rest assured the oil industry is not going to spend any money on producing more oil. So I leave you with that look at the future, and I hope that this entire country gets online with the low emission vehicles or no emission vehicles. See you in the morning. Bye.